There we go.
And hello, movie lovers. And today I actually have a great and awesome guest with me. I actually have Alan C. Klingbeil. And it's such an honor to be able to just sit down with him and talk to him. We're going to get into his slapping career of the UFC part of it. We're going to get into his even down into like technical stuff though too, because he's just such a great and awesome creative person though too, and also he's also a great actor. I've seen a couple episodes of him and on the Walker Texas Ranger episode as well. So let's go ahead, let's dive into it. I'm excited to have him here, so let's do it. And hey, Ellen, welcome to the show. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be able to come on this podcast and talk to me.
Hey, John, it's a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me. I love it. Thank you.
Not a problem. You're very welcome. And I just want to say this: like when your publicist reached out to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I was very excited to get the email, and I just thought that the whole entire resume of you going into acting, and then also too, you also have like a technical side though to you as well, with communications and stuff like that. I was like, wow, this dude is just doing everything. So my question is this: how do you go from going into college
Mhm.
and then saying, you know what, I want to be an actor? And how did your parents? I just was kind of curious, like how did your parents handle that too?
Um, well, I'm not very close with them, so I guess I'm a little bit
Oh,
of a free spirit. But I am married, so like just consulting my wife on those things that kind of helps, influence the decision. Like, is it a good decision? Is it a bad decision? But I'm a bit of a risk taker, so she's always knowing and willing for me to do something as long as it's safe and it's worth my time. That sort of thing. So.
right. It's always good to have support of our wives and stuff like that too, because my wife supports me with my podcast and stuff like that too. And I'm like, babe, I'm gonna be in there for about an hour or whatever. Are you good? She goes, yeah, I'm good. I got our son and everything. We're gonna I'll put him to get bed every night at 8, so we're good.
That's
So
awesome.
and she backs me up on everything I want to do too. And if she does, if I have like a crazy idea, she's like, I wouldn't go through with it. So I do listen to her. So yeah, it wasn't for our wives, where we would be. Uh,
Yeah. No, I would
but
probably be dead. Yeah.
same here. This is why
Yeah.
women last longer than men,
100%. Definitely. Yeah.
But the thing that I really found too fascinating was the fact that, what made you so fascinated with telecommunications and stuff like that into getting into that degree? Because I'm always, here's the thing, I'm a huge tech geek as well. And I love technology. I love just geeking out trying to fix something with in the technology technical field, and also seeing how it grows too, because you can walk out with a brand new computer, next thing you know it's obsolete
Yeah.
as soon as you just walk out the door. But I just think it's just fascinating that you're just geeked out as I am over this stuff too.
Well, I really appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm glad to have some camaraderie there. Yeah, I don't know. Since I was a kid, I mean, I guess like early 90s, late 90s, sorry, early 2000s. I mean, computers were really becoming like a staple of everybody's lives. And so, in the midst of that, my brother and I, and I guess like sometimes my dad, but like often like issues would happen with computers, and that kind of like sparked like learning how to resolve and fix those issues. And then later over time, um, after wandering around a little bit, doing some cool stuff, I came to the conclusion that, this would probably be something that I could do long term, get paid for, as opposed to just doing it for free for family and friends and stuff like that. Or I even, like did like missionary work. And like during that time, I was like the IT guy, and, amidst other like things that you do basically. So, like I, set up the AV things for, presentations and things like that. But
Mhm.
often, you just had like a ton of issues with like simple networking things, or like, just updating drivers and stuff, just kind of like troubleshooting. And so that led me down that path. And then, I don't know, over time I just kind of decided, all right, I'm going to give this a shot, and I like it, and I love the evolution of it
Mm.
constantly, and I love the ability to help people, and I'm very much on the networking side of things. So like I'm not like a super hacker or anything like that. Don't
No,
don't get me wrong, but but I know a little bit of stuff. So yeah, I don't know if
right,
that answered
exactly.
your question, but yeah.
But yeah, you did, because here's the thing. You want to know where I got my love for computers and stuff was my aunt had a friend named Rocky. Rocky and his wife owned a beauty salon in
Hmm.
Boston, and that's actually where I'm originally from.
Oh, cool.
But so all he's doing is just checking in people and stuff like that, making reservations for them to get their hair done by his wife. So my grandmother buys me a laptop, my very first laptop, and he was like, "Look, man, come on into the shop. I'll teach you everything I know about computers." At that time, it was like dial-up internet. It was
Yeah,
and you could pretty much go to the store. Maybe you might actually have a page loaded by the time that you get home.
yeah,
He taught me the ins and outs of computer networking and technology. A little bit of me that I learned was from tech support, and then after that, I just was just so dialed into it to the point where that's where my passion was
right.
too. Like I was a mix between entertainment and also on the other thing of I love technology. So if I
Yeah.
can incorporate both of them, that would be great. And look what I'm doing now. So
Oh, nailed
right,
it.
exactly. But so whenever I'm looking at you as an actor too, my question
Mhm.
is, so what got you into acting? It's like, look, this is what I want to do. This is what I love doing.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is in my blood. This is in my veins. Something that I can see myself doing.
Um, yeah, I did like theater and stuff when I was younger, in high school and everything like that, and even when I was in middle school. And I don't know, like I constantly, it's pretty ironic. I had a lot of people say like you should be an actor, you should be in the military, you should do this, that, and the other, and I ended up doing just about every one of them. But I'll tell you, I think the thing that I love about acting is like. Self-reflection, self-improvement. So that's the reason why I love martial arts, the reason why I love acting, and that's the reason why I love anything that allows me to help other people as well. But yeah, no, that's basically it's like it takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of repetition and focus, to kind of nail a scene down, and sometimes the amount of takes you have to do is just insane. And I guess I really love that because it just reminds me a lot of I did martial arts at a very young age, and so and that's the same thing. It's just repetition, repetition, self discipline, pushing past the point where most people, would want to quit, basically, right? Like everybody wants to quit, but like I don't know, there's just that fire inside of you, I guess. And I guess for IT or acting or martial arts, it kind of does it for me. So
Right. It's just that resilience in you of like, I'm not gonna let anything get to me, and I'm just gonna keep on plowing through everything, even though
right,
everybody's given up.
right,
And that's exactly how I am too, though. Too, like I'm resilient with anything that I do. And believe it or not, you and I actually have something in common because I actually took theater in high school.
okay,
I took theater
sweet,
in high school, wrote a monologue, did all that stuff,
nice.
and also too, I also took karate and everything too because I watched too much Karate Kid movies to the point where I was like, okay, I want to do this or do karate. So I was actually taught by it was a Horizon Tansado was actually the name of the place
That's
over
awesome.
in.
That's a great
So
name.
yeah, and Grandmaster Chin was actually part of that as well back in the '90s and stuff like that. And I think he was actually the founder of it. It was but I just remember just loving the martial arts aspect of it and the physicality of it, and just sparring against somebody during the tournaments and stuff like that too, and to compete. I was like very competitive as well. To the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let anyone, even though they're a little bigger than I am or stuff like that, because I was actually sparring up against someone that was taller than me. I was like the smallest person that was in our class. And as soon as Mr. Hollingsworth told me to begin, I just started going after this guy. Like, and knocking
Yes.
him all the way to the. He goes, "Okay, killer. Okay, that's enough. That's enough." But yeah, it was. But I just have that love of martial arts, and also the entertainment thing though too. So that's the two of the things that I think that we have actually in common is the fact that we have the love for the entertainment and the martial arts stuff and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. And I grew up on Bruce Lee movies. I grew up on all that stuff. Even I can't mention Walker Texas Ranger without Chuck Norris. So I
Yeah,
grew
come
up with
on.
Chuck Norris. You know,
Exactly.
and I was intrigued whenever I found out that you were on the reboot of it. So my thing was this, like, what was I know there's a difference in the 90s how we watched Walker Texas Ranger and how
Right.
we're incorporating into the way that we watch TV now.
Right.
And the writing styles are completely different.
Oh,
But what was it
100%.
like for you to be like, oh my God, I actually am on a set of Walker Texas Ranger, of something that I used to watch as a kid, and now here I am actually on a physical set. It may be different, but here I am.
Man, it was one of the most badass things I could possibly do. When they offered me the opportunity, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Are you kidding me? Like, let's freaking go, man. So, a little bit less action than I would have liked per se, but just the opportunity to be there, be around amazing actors, kind of like soak in that. Yeah, no, definitely just the idea in and of itself. It's like, oh, I get to be a Texas Ranger, a Walker Texas Ranger. It's like a Texan dream come true on steroids, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like I made it to this point in my life, and someone pinched me right now because it's so real to the
Yeah.
point where it's like I never thought I would actually get this far, and what doors this could possibly open though later on for
Yeah.
me. And you've been asked to come back, what, 3 or 4 times for different seasons, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, many times. Yeah,
Right.
too many for me to count. So
That just
yeah,
shows you how much of a presence you have with that set, with the manager, team members, and stuff like that of that set, and how much of a presence you have with them.
thank you.
And I think that's just phenomenal that they would actually ask you back again. I just and I thought that you would actually be. I think you could have actually been more. I think they could have wrote you a character in there and kept you in there because you had that presence and that gravitas towards that passion of that character and stuff too. To the point where I was like, why didn't they just give you a bigger role? Because I just wanted more of that character. You know.
Thank you.
But you're very welcome. Because I just feel like, yeah, the big star, of course, is going to be one of the brothers from that TV series that was on CW for a long time and stuff like that
Supernatural.
too.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
Supernatural. But I always look at not just the main star. I look at the co-stars. I look at everything else. I'm very much of the paying attention to details
Yeah.
and stuff like that when it comes down to chemistry, when it comes down to the writing and the dialogue and camera angles and stuff like that. And whenever I seen your presence on there, I'm like, wait, this dude is definitely a standout. This guy is going to go somewhere someday
Thank you.
besides doing small roles. And, it's just phenomenal of how you got to that point and then going into. So what came first? Was it the Walker Texas Ranger thing first, or was it the slap boxing first?
Oh no. Yeah, I think maybe like 3 years before Power Slap, I was on. I was with Walker. So yeah, I believe that's the correct amount of time. Yeah, about 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, something like that. But yeah.
Because here's the thing, I actually watched one of your matches. Matter of fact, I actually used it as your promo as well. Because I was like, you know what? I want to do something a little different. I want to actually get a little bit of the UFC viewers in here though too, not just movie lovers and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
want to incorporate both worlds and show people that I can actually pull on both. And whenever I seen you face off of against this one dude, he's like about 5'8", about my height almost.
Yeah.
I'm like, and you have a more of a reach on him. I'm like, this dude needs a stool. This thing. I felt bad for the guy. I'm like, like you overtower him, and I'm like, there's no chance that this is gonna go down the way that he thinks is gonna go down. But just that little, I like that little smirk that you give him, like whenever he slaps, he's like, okay, I'll let you have that one. That's okay.
Oh man, you must be talking about Joseph Lamb, man. I freaking love that
Yeah.
guy. It's so funny, man. But yeah, everyone thought, and it is true that a shorter guy technically has like an advantage through it's like an uppercut, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
technically, everyone thought he was going to beat me. Um, so and even in the back of my mind, I had never done it before, so I was like, I don't know, maybe that will happen. I have no idea, but I'm psyched to be near Dana White, Michael Bisping, and I think Mark Wahlberg was there, and I was like, what
Oh,
the
that's
hell?
pretty badass.
Yeah, what is Mark Wahlberg doing here? Like, I felt
Damn,
like
guys.
I was on, yeah, man, it was crazy. It was like I was on TED or something. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, hey
You're
there,
right, like a
like,
bit from Ted. Like, you know what? This reminds me of the time when I seen Alan fight this other little guy, and all of a sudden it goes into this clip of
yeah.
you with the slap boxer.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome. I hope. Yeah, no, I would kill for
I'm
that. I
giving
would do
Ted
that for
three
free any
ideas,
day. Yeah.
or the Ted the TV series. But you know what though? Like, I was just wondering about this though too. Like, what's the difference between the slap boxing and the UFC style and the sports in itself? Because it's very different.
Mhm,
And usually, when you go to a UFC event, there's yelling, there's
mhm,
all this camaraderie going on,
mhm.
and then for the slap competition, there's like it's very quiet. It's kind of like kind of melancholy a little bit, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's a little bit different. I'm like kind of surprised that it doesn't have that same level of excitement in a sense.
Yeah, I think especially I think it's becoming more of that, but part of that too is that like there was like a limited crowd before. It was like invite only. They started selling tickets the past two times, and so it's been a little bit more, more of that atmosphere. But yeah, I think it's the anticipation because people know that something's about to happen, and that's like one of the great things about that I personally love about the sport. It's kind of like something's about to happen on a TV show or a movie, but you just like on the edge of your seat, you're like, something's about to happen. What is it? It's like no
Right.
one watches Jurassic Park or Star Wars or any horror film and goes, "Oh, nothing's gonna happen." They're like, "Okay, something's about to happen." So that's kind of like the situation there. And after someone gets hit, then all the cheering happens. But the past two events, there's been like more cheering leading up to it, and they've even like talked about it in the meetings that we have and stuff. It's like, oh, the atmosphere will change for you, kind of be ready for that. But yeah, it's really different, man. I don't know. And I have been to a few MMA fights recently, and I feel like maybe it's because people are always trying to record with their phones and stuff.
And
It kind of yeah, because I was like cheering and people are kind of looking at you like you're an idiot and you're like, bro, we're at a live event. What are you doing? Like
I just can't. Let me just tell you this: I cannot stand a cell phone at a live event. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll film here and there with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going concerts or whatever to hold on to the memory.
Yeah.
But I don't film the whole entire concert. I
Right.
film certain songs that actually hit me the way that they need to hit. But that takes away the whole entire experience, though, of
It does.
filming a fight. You're there live to see a fight. If you were going to go film with your camera, you might as well just stay home and watch it on your 50-inch screen. If you're because you're staring into a phone and taking a picture
Yeah.
and taking a video. And to me, I think that would actually take me out of it versus just experiencing the experience. That's one thing I miss about the 90s and early 2000s is the fact that you can actually go to a live event and experience something, and
Yeah.
then guess what? Then your friend goes to that live event somewhere else, and there's a different experience that he had, and then you
Right.
guys can then two people can just geek out together
Right.
and say, look, I had a different experience than you do. Oh, what happened? And then it's not the same thing because everybody knows it's the same concert. It's going to be the same themes, at least there's a little bit of an element of surprise,
Right.
you know, whenever it was like the 90s and early 2000s when you go to somewhere.
Man, I totally agree. I think I really hate that like I don't know. It's not that we didn't watch it on TV or even in the early days of the internet, you sat there and waited like I don't know, 60 minutes for a video to load, It's like, "Oh, it's gonna
If you're
happen."
lucky.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, it was like, dude, this is what happened, and everyone's just like gathered around. You're listening to your friends. You're like, oh, okay, like, tell me what happened, and it's their experience, and you as like an individual within your own community, like you get to experience that through that other person. There's that camaraderie, and like, I don't know, I feel like relationships have broken down a lot today because no one's like sharing their experience through conversation or
No,
I mean they are, but you know what I mean. It's like a lot of
it's not
videos. Like
verbal.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Verbally, you're not saying anything. You're typing what you want to say
right.
versus what you can physically say.
Oh yeah,
You know, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, but I'm the type of person who's like, look, if it's too long of a message for you to actually text me, call me.
yeah,
You know, I'm that type. I'm like, I don't want to sit through. I have ADD, so if I have to sit through a long paragraph, I'm like, okay, I'm not reading that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm out. I tap out. I'm like, I'm done. But my other thing was this though, okay? So when it comes down to the training and stuff like that for a slap competition, what's the training like? Is it I know it has to be totally different compared to the physicality of working on your arms, your legs, and everything else to go along with
Mhm.
regular UFC fight. So what's the process like when doing a slap competition?
Well, it's still kind of a new sport, so I'm going to give you like my take on the situation, right?
Okay.
Um, and I think that like with this sport in particular, it is more beneficial for you to train in like a strength and conditioning, but more focused on like strength. So you want to be a lot stronger than you do like you still need speed.
Okay. He's having a little bit of
Uh,
difficulty because yeah, there we go.
yeah, sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
Anyway, yeah, speed is a huge thing as well, but it's all in your swing. It's all in yeah, it's really different because I still practice mixed martial arts and that's huge for me. And I think one of the things that you need to do is practice mixed martial arts because you're getting hit in the head while you're practicing, and that kind of trains you to be able to absorb that hit. And then you're also training your body to be able to absorb those hits in a mixed martial arts
Right.
way, right? So it's a I don't know. There's a real mix about it. It's kind of difficult to put into words 100%, but yeah, I would say people need to
Yep.
focus more on strength. And I've noticed that people who are utilizing strength more than they are, uh, like technique and skill, sometimes that can be real beneficial. Obviously, you need the technique and skill, but it's just, I mean, yeah, you got to like there's a lot of repetition that you use on a bob or like some people use a bag, and I don't think that's quite beneficial because you really need this pinpoint accuracy to hit where you're supposed to hit, right? So
Right.
if you don't hit where you're supposed to hit, it's like a foul, and the results of that have become more egregious recently. So um, there's some stuff that I can't say that's coming up in these new matches, but they're making it much more of a penalty to be a fouler. As opposed to previously, it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe he fouled and like, oh well, shoot, hopefully he doesn't do it next time, and things like that. So I'm excited for that, but yeah, no, I mean, the more strength you have, the better hit you're going to have. Also, you obviously you need to practice your swing and see how fast you can go. You don't want to be too slow, otherwise there's not enough momentum to generate that power or whatever. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's basically it. I do a ton of strength and conditioning, and then I also do MMA to practice getting hit in the head. Basically, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's like you get in there with like some of the pros, you get popped in the face, and you're like, oh crap, like
Right, exactly. Because that
yeah,
was something I was wondering too, because you can't block when you're doing a slap competition
right,
and you can't move, otherwise that's a foul.
right,
And I'm like, that's gotta be difficult not to flinch. And especially when you do this, man. Like I've seen the video where you're like trying to measure your reach. I'm like, if that was me, I'd be flinching the whole entire time because I'm expecting a hit.
yeah,
And then it's just that, like you said, that whole entire suspense of am I gonna get hit? Am I not gonna get hit? When am I gonna get hit? But just the whole idea that someone's coming up to me and I can't block it and I have to take the hit,
yeah,
and you don't know how that impact is gonna hit you either. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right,
that's the challenging thing I have to say about the slap competitions is the fact that you just have to stand there and take it,
yeah,
and then hopefully you won't foul, and then hopefully you can get pissed off enough to maybe knock the other person off his keister to the point where he fouls
right,
or something. You
right,
know, so I definitely think that the slap competitions is something new and something that I think is needs to be something fresh with it too, because I definitely like the challenge of it of that. And I also I picked around with some of my friends. I said, finally, if you were looking for a place that you can actually get paid for slapping people, there you go. There's your
Yeah,
chance.
yeah. Oh man, I love it. I do, and I know it's kind of funny and it's unique
Right.
and it's
But
new, but it is so much fun and like you really do get the, especially with power slap at least, right? But I I vibe and I mess with the slap fighting championship. It's called the SFC or whatever. I vibe with those dudes, and I gotta be honest, they're like I don't know. I hope they're getting treated well. I hear they're treated well, but like with ours, it's like you're treated like a UFC fighter the moment you walk in, and you have all the same benefits that they do, more or less. And um, it's I don't know, man. It's just awesome, and I love it. And I laugh at myself, when I see myself on the camera and everything. Right? You got to be a little bit of a character. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's cool, man. I love it.
good. I think I can definitely tell you love this thing because just the way that you have that little bit of a smirk on your face, I'm like, yeah, he's eating this up. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you slapped me, but guess what? I'm gonna go on ahead and come back 10 times harder on you.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of
Oh
reminds me of like a Steven Seagal kind of action movie thing from the '90s. The way that the
yes. Let's
slapping is.
go. Dude, I
It's like,
love
oh, you
Steven
didn't
Seagal
expect
kind of
that,
movies.
but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But are you? I have a question. Are you working on anything new or anything like that as far as your acting career goes?
Yeah, I got a couple projects coming up. I can't really talk about them yet,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I'm slated to do, like, I'm a supporting character in a feature film that's coming up. So I'm excited for that. I'm mostly really anticipating for them to give me the credit and allow me to say it in public, because people are like, "Well, what is it?" And I kind of like made a faux pas as an actor, because you really shouldn't say anything until like
Right.
you can say something. But I don't know. I was excited about it, man.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, as someone that's like an indie actor who's trying to climb his way up into the rankings and stuff like that of a Matthew McConaughey or a Christian Bale, and you
Right.
get offered these roles, it's hard not to keep your mouth shut or anything like that because you're so geeked out over it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do press junkets and stuff like that too. Because it's like I can't say anything. I'm excited about this, but
Yep.
I don't want. Next thing you know, you have deadlines saying, Alan winded up saying something and it's not even what you even said. It's misconstrued and everything. Next thing you know it could not even land you the role because of something that was misconstrued. Because I've dealt with matter of fact, I actually do movie news and stuff like that once a month and stuff like that too. And
Yeah.
I break down that kind of stuff because I love that. But I
It
understand where you're
happens.
coming from, man. I really do.
It happens so much. And I think the hardest thing about it is, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I've already done that, and I've already screwed myself over. I mostly to kind of like generate some hype for myself. I like mentioned it to Michael Bisping, and her name's Charlie, Charlie on TV from Power Slap beforehand. I was hyped like about it, and we were just kind of chit chatting, and I was like, oh, I've had these experiences, and they're like, I didn't like screw over the feature film one for me, but there was a TV show that I like auditioned for two different roles for it, right?
Oh,
And
cool.
so, and it was a Netflix, and it's like a law enforcement based show. I think it's, what is it? It's something Gringos. It's like an awesome title, but it's based off of like a true team, like a law enforcement team that operates down south. That's like an interagency that works with like Mexican authorities and other countries' authorities as well. And they go and they find gang members that try to hide Mexico, basically, right? So I was going to be like a former gang member turned good guy, and I like spilled the beans, and I totally screwed myself over, man. So
Man, that sucks though, man. But I'm happy about the feature film though. At least something else panned out for you.
right,
Too.
right,
So, I always say if one door closes, another one opens. You just never know what that door is going to lead up to.
yeah,
You know, and if you ever want to come back on here to promote what you're doing, once you're able to talk about it, I'm
oh,
more than
absolutely.
glad to have you back.
Thank you,
Yeah, seriously, I'm enjoying this conversation that we're having here.
thank you very much.
Um, You're very welcome. I really do appreciate you just taking the time out of your night just to talk about everything that you've done. And then even with you being a cyber defense operator too, I mean, you got it all. You got martial arts, you got cybersecurity, homeland security. You got like the whole deal of like an action star, like a next Arnold Schwarzenegger that can do it all.
I hope so, man. Come on, I received that. Oh man, absolutely. You talk about one of the greatest guys ever, in my honest opinion. Like he's such a role model for me in like a lot of ways, and I feel like people just think of him as like the funny action star kind of dude, but that guy is just absolutely incredible. I aim to be uh like him or anybody who's like him, more or less. It's just someone who just goes after their dreams, never stops, and inspires others, helps others also achieve their dreams. A great family man. Everybody's got, everyone's human, right? At the end of the day. So I know
Right.
there's some of that stuff there, but at the end of the day, great family man, great patriot, and just super inspiring. So I thank you. I really appreciate you saying
You're very
that.
welcome because and you know what though, man, you're right though, because I actually picked up his book last
There it
year
is. Nice.
and you know, I he's very inspiring. He's intelligent. He's everything that you just mentioned outside the whole entire action hero realm
Yeah.
and stuff like that. He's very smart with his politics. He's very smart with the way he does certain things and the way he picks his roles and things
Yeah.
like that too. It's just mind blowing at the amount of work that he put in, and it's just unbelievable. He comes off the boat, he does Conan. Next thing you know, it he winds up doing more roles, does the Terminator, works with
Yeah.
James Cameron, and
Yeah.
just blows up. And I think that you have that kind of charisma though too, where you could be the next 2000s action star and stuff like that. Aside from The Rock, and I always say this, I was like, well, where's all the action stars at, right? And because we had the 80s to 90s stars, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, you had your Steven Seagal, you had Sylvester Stallone, you also had
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yep.
and then that was it. Those were the go-to every single time that you turned around, and
Yeah.
Steven Seagal. But then you get into the 2000s, then you got Jason Statham, The Rock, and that's it.
Yeah. Like maybe John Cena. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, John Cena, I would put him on the list,
Yeah.
But Arnold is just one of those guys that just paves the way, and I can actually see a lot of the charisma that he has that's in you though too, because of
Thank you.
the stuff that you've done, man. Like there's no way that I could go to college, do acting, then to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? I want to do cybersecurity. And that just takes some guts, though. I have to say, I mean, that's very inspiring on its own self.
Thanks, man.
Very
Really cool.
welcome.
I don't know. I often, I don't know. I shoot for the stars, and I'm always just thinking like worst case scenario, get the moon, right? Like I think it's the saying that goes out there. And honestly, I don't know. I'm like worst case scenario, I die tomorrow, and I chase my dreams. But I think to me, like to live a life where I think back, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have tried that, or maybe I should have done that. Like I don't know. I just want to leave a trail of dreams and inspire other people to chase whatever it is that their heart, really like what makes them come alive at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So
Right. I really do, because I tell everybody every single day is an opportunity for something big to happen to you. Like, for instance, I could do a podcast episode, it could lead into other things. You just never know who's watching. You never know what's going on behind the scenes or anything like that. You're only seeing one little small nugget, and that one little small nugget can lead into something else.
right.
And I love just the chase of something happening and not knowing where it's going to go.
Right.
And that's just thrilling for me as someone that's a content creator, YouTuber, podcaster, and stuff like that too. Yeah, I work a 9 to 5 job, but at the same time, this is my passion. This is what I love doing. This is,
Hell yeah.
uh, but it's the same drive. And rent is due every month. It's never owed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I go after. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I want to keep growing and keep doing what I'm doing, just as you want what you want to do too.
Right.
So
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, but I think that's everything that I had wanted to cover with you, man. I mean, I
Okay.
enjoyed this conversation. I'm not gonna,
Thank you.
no joke. I think you're talented. I think that your resume shines through, especially with you being on the Walker Texas Ranger reboot and the presence that you have over there. The respect that you have in the UFC and doing the martial arts and the slap competitions and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to be watching because of the fact that you're in it, but also too, you got
Thanks.
me into this sport now to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'd rather watch this than the UFC fights now. To be
Come
honest,
on, don't.
don't, hey,
Someone's gonna be
look,
mad.
Dana, I'm sorry. Don't come to my house and kick my ass. I'm just saying. But I would go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch UFC fights and stuff like that,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and just have a good time. I love watching UFC fights. I even went up to Hattiesburg, which is about 45 minutes away from where I used to live with one of my friends, and they have like MMA competitions up there.
Nice.
And I just love the thrill. I love everybody that's just sharing their favorite person on. I love MMA and amateur fighting and stuff like that. It's just fantastic.
It's awesome, man. I don't know. There's just I don't know if it's you could say a million things, right? It's like primitive spirit or whatever else. It's just like it's awesome to sit there and watch two people who have trained their butt off go head to head and see who wins. It's just like at the end of the day, something could happen, someone gets lucky. That happens all the time, but it's still amazing to watch. I don't know. I really love it.
Same here. I love it. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know the outcome of it. And yeah, it could last more like just 5 seconds. And your 5 seconds, that's it. Your career is over with,
Yep.
too. And I just want to touch base on something real quick. Like
Mhm.
with Ronda Rousey, I was a huge Ronda Rousey fan
Right.
coming into the UFC and stuff like that, and of her being a woman of dominance and power.
Yeah, she was.
And and then she got the role. I didn't know if you knew this or not, but she actually got the role for the reboot of Roadhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was originally supposed to do the reboot, and then you don't hear nothing else after she loses the fight, and then next thing you know, Jake Gyllenhaal winds up taking that the strings and doing that. But I told everybody, like, Ronda Rousey's a great fighter,
Yeah.
but her acting ability is not where it needs to be. She's getting these roles because she's fighting and she's winning titles.
Yeah.
Just wait until something happens and they're like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy." I'm like, "I'm telling you, you're just too evolved into the UFC thing not to see it." But I'm someone that actually looks at movie news. I know the politics of it and stuff like that. But that's the way I viewed it. But I just love Ronda Rousey. I love what she did for the UFC at that time. You cannot deny that. Same thing when you look at Brock Lesnar coming out of WWE
Oh,
and coming into
absolutely.
something into that, you know,
For
and
sure.
it was paving the way for different people. You had Kimbo Slice coming off of he was a street fighter off
Yeah.
the streets. I remember watching YouTube videos of this dude.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. I loved that. Like I used to watch him all the time, and then when I saw him on, I think he was on Tufts, right? Am I wrong about that? Like
Yeah,
they
you're
brought him on.
right.
Yeah, man, that was like, it's Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo was
Yeah.
just so great, man. He was so full of light, had heart, and knew what he wanted to do with the UFC and stuff. But you know, um, bless his soul now. But
Yeah.
back then, he was just a powerhouse. You knew that you were dead right as soon as you got into the octagon with
I mean, yeah, I'd be like, oof, I'm gonna fight you, but I don't think I'm gonna win.
him. Me, I'll be the opposite. I'm like, I'm just gonna lay here, okay, Kimbo. I'm just gonna lay here, play dead, do what you have to do. Have my hand in a couple of times. I'll play dead. You get the KO, and we're good to go.
That's right. That's right. Be a highlight reel, man, right there.
Right? Just mark the spot where the camera angle wants me to be at. I'll lay here, and then that'll be it. Cut to commercial, and we're good. But
Yeah,
but dude, come back again.
absolutely.
Seriously,
Yeah, thank
I
you.
want you back again. I think we have a lot more to talk about it too. But yeah, that's gonna be it as far as this goes. Is there anything that you want to say or anything like that? And also too, someone that's actually trying to do acting and try to do that. What kind of inspiration can you give them?
Man, I just want to tell anybody out there that like the hardest thing about acting is you want to be this breakout star, you want to be this, that, or the other. But the truth is most of the people that you see out there on these big films have been doing it for years, sometimes a decade or more, before they land this huge role. And then you go back and everyone looks at their career and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he was in this, 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 and this, and this." And you don't even know. And sometimes you don't even get the credit for it, right? Like I've been in plenty of stuff that I don't have credit for, and you just it's hard, man. It's hard, and you just if you really want to do it and you really want to be a part of it, you just have to keep tackling it. You have to pay for, like certain things that you wouldn't necessarily want to pay for, and you have to be willing to network and just get after it, man. Just be alive, be happy to be there, and be happy to be a part of a struggle that most people are too afraid to ever get after. So, yeah.
Most definitely. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it as far as this interview goes. But Alan, stick around after the show and everything, so we can so I can address walk you out properly and everything
Okay.
too. But guys, going ahead at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, we're going to be doing the best of Johnny Depp bracket, where you actually have 16 movies that we chose from, and I'm going to have the guys from the from another YouTube channel that's going to be joining me for that. But we're going to be doing the best of Johnny Depp movies. Monday, we're going to try and do School of Rock. We're going to do that movie review scene by scene, breaking it down, stripping away. We're going to do the nostalgia factor, then stripping away the nostalgia after that. And that's always fun. So, guys, that's going to be it. Always until next time, have a great and safe night. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.